Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see current affairs of 18 September 2024. So let's get started with our discussion. And see the title first, guys, first article. So rain harvesting work reveals megalithic burial site. So what is the keyword here? Yeah? Essay class will be 7 to 8. Okay, see what are those keywords here? Rain harvesting is one keyword and next one here is megalithic burial site. So actually when you read your history part, especially in ancient history, you will be coming across this burials called as megalithic burials. And even from your anthropology point of view, in your optional, you have to know in detail about this megalithic burials, types of burials, in which burials, what are the materials that you can see, and in which part of our country, which kind of burials you will be seeing. Okay. Okay, let me write those keywords. The first one here is rain harvesting. And second one is megalithic burials, megaliths. So do you know about what is the meaning of rain harvesting? What is the meaning of rain harvesting? So why we have to do this? So is that necessary to go for rain water harvesting? Yes or no? Then why? So what exactly we'll do in this rainwater harvesting? Okay, conservation of water. How? Okay, natural aquifers we can create, but how? So is this a process that we are using in our modern history or even earlier people they used to have this? Okay, so can you tell me exactly when humans they started this rainwater harvesting in India? So if you see the history, we can trace it back to IVC. Even in this Indus Valley civilization also the people used to have this rainwater harvesting. Okay, so now tell me what will be the advantages of this rainwater harvesting? Okay, groundwater recharge next. Irrigation facilities next. Come on, think you can do it. Okay, well tubes. So how can you use this rainwater harvesting now? Here is whenever you are writing an answer regarding how to increase groundwater table or like recharging of groundwater, and whenever you are talking about agriculture in drought areas, you can give measures, right? So in that measures you can use this rainwater harvesting. Okay. Okay, now tell me what is this megalith? Mega means big. Lith means stones. So megalith is a concept related to stones, right? Okay. So why people are using these megaliths? Okay, to bury. Okay, to bury human bodies. But why they are keeping this? Okay, it represents about the societal status of people. Okay, apart from that, can you see how these megaliths have been urgent today? So in today's time, we are using this megaliths. Are we using this? Okay, rather than that, what we are using? We are using what? To bury dead bodies. Hmm? Okay, wood. Next. Hmm? Electric. Okay. Hmm. So if you are getting relevance, if you are getting any mains question regarding what is the relevance of megaliths in the present day, what can you write? In this way, you will be getting questions in your UPSC. Okay. Mm. Okay. Next. Come on, tell me what is the relevance of megaliths in today's era, for example, in the present 21st century. So, are we using this or not? But still, some tribal people they are using this megaliths. Okay, so in that way you can get question. Okay, so let us see here what this article is exactly saying. So recently, rainwater harvesting projects in Kerala. So they were going for this project, but finally they uncovered numerous megalith urn burials. Okay, on Kudlikad Hill. So it had been founded by one archaeologist, and these uh, findings they will provide some insights regarding Mesolithic and Iron Age links in area. So in which area this megaliths used to be there? So in Iron Age and as well as in Mesolithic age, so people used to use this megaliths to save the place where they buried so and so person. Okay. So here, if you see about this megalith, it is a large stone that had been used to construct a prehistoric structure or a monument. And even you know about this Assam's moidums, right? So those moidums are also the places where the royal people of this Assam, they used to be buried. But now recently they got World Heritage Tag. So in that way you have to connect this article with that moidum. So what is the relevance of this buried structure in the present era? So whenever you're getting this question, you have to link that Assam's moidum recently it got World Heritage Site. Okay. So actually these megaliths, their construction done in especially in the prehistoric period, and especially they constructed either as a burial sites or commemorative of memorials. So just for memorials or to bury so and so person, so they used to use this megaliths. And actually here in this megaliths we are having different types, like cyst we will be having. So there we will be having a box shaped stone, and in that stone we will be having a chambers. So in that here the people used to store the dead bodies. And next one here is, for example, they will be burying a dead body here, and around that dead body they will be keeping stones to mark the area. So this is called as crane circles. So in that way you will be having different types of burials which are belonging to this megaliths. Okay, so here if you see the different types of megalithic structures, the first one is stone circles. Stone circles are called as cromlechs. So here you have to just Google down how the stone circles will be there. And next one is dolmens. For example, here in this area, one person had been buried. On this person, there will be a big stone, okay, which will be standing on that area. They are called as dolmens. And we will be having cyst. Cyst is nothing but small coffin like box will be there. In that box they will be burying the dead body, and there will be small stones which will be placed around that. And even we will be having monolith, which is called as a very single and large stone that is erected in the prehistoric times. So in this way here you have to know about what is this. And if you take this anthropology as optional, you will be having like in detail regarding what is this cyst, what is monolith, and especially what are the things they will be buried along with the dead body, and what are the socio and cultural dimensions regarding this megaliths. And something will be very interesting there, you will be learning like, so in some areas, so they will be burying the dead body in the seated position, that too north south or east to west. Okay, you have to know what is the culture behind that if you are from anthropology background. Okay. So see this next article, new technology to address stray cattle menace, says minister. So what is a stray cattle? Stray dogs, stray cattle. What is stray cattle? Stray dogs. What is the meaning of stray dogs? Stray dog menace, which is seen highly news. So dogs which are present in the road, which are present in the streets. So what is a stray cattle? Cattle which you can see on the side of the roads. So why there is increasing of the stray cattle number nowadays? It's related to, yeah, bulls and cows, buffaloes you can see on the road. Why there is increase? If you go to any villages, can you see any stray cattle? No, there will be owner who will be taking care of that. But the urban areas now there is increased trend of this stray cattle. Why? Okay, so they are doing jobs in urban areas, so they are not interested. Okay, so because of culture, they will be leaving some cattle in the name of God. Next. Okay, next. Come on, I want exact reason why there is increasing of stray cattle. So if they are belonging to some good breed, will they become stray? Yes or no? Dairy farm. Okay, so if they are belonging to any good breed of cattle, will people leave them? No, right? So one of the important reason behind this stray cattle here is they are not belonging to the good breed. Okay. So for example, if you see even dogs also, if they are belonging to the pit bull or any Rottweiler, so will they leave them on the roads? No. So what are the stray dogs that you are seeing? They are local breeds, they are not foreign breeds. Okay, so that is one of the important reason why there is increasing of stray cattle nowadays. So here what can be what can be the measures taken by you to control this stray cattle? Because the problem with the stray cattle here is they do not have any proper owner, and they don't have proper food sources. What are the food which is available here and there? Even they will consume plastic. Yes or no? Because of this, obviously it is having impact on the life of animals. So even they have the right to life, right? So even we also have like number of acts like Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 to take care of that cattle. Okay, so here if you are a district collector, if you are suppose an officer of animal welfare in future, so what are the steps that you are going to take to control this stray cattle menace? Come on, tell me, it's your turn. What are the steps that you can take now? Come on, come on. Okay, gathering them. For example, there is evolution of one concept called as goshalas. Next. Come on, think. Okay, we can provide treatment. Okay, veterinary services you can provide to some extent. Next. How can you decrease the number of stray cattle? Can you decrease? How? Are you getting my question? Mm. Okay, now. Okay. So how many of you from agriculture family here? If you are from agriculture, you will be also maintaining some animal husbandry side by side. Okay. So what is the method that you will be following to get breeding in animals? You will be calling to veterinary services. Yes. We will be having veterinary ambulances separately. So if you call them and they will be coming and they will be inseminate the animals, right? So whenever you are going for insemination, try to go for quality. Okay, quality breed. We have to take the semen of the quality breed so that we can decrease this problem of stray cattle. So this is the thing which is mainly said by our animal husbandry ministry. Okay, now let us see this article. So Union Minister announced that new technologies like IVF and as well as sex sorted semen production will help to tackle the stray cattle issue in India. So nowadays, because of rapid urbanization also, so this problem had been increased many-fold. Okay, so because of this, we can use some new technology like IVF and as well as we can select the semen from the quality breed so that we can decrease this problem of stray cattle. And he also emphasized on we need better breed quality so that we can encourage the farmer to keep the cattle. So for example, if you're having a good breed, so we can increase the pride of that farmer. Like farmer can say that I have these many cows, they are belonging to this breed. And if you are maintaining the good breed, obviously the milk production will be high, right? So that we can reduce the stray population such that even we can also increase the income of farmers. So this is the thing which mainly said here. And if you see the key points that you can get from this article, the first one here is, yes, whenever we are introducing this IVF or like when we go with this the sex sorted semen represents we are shifting our cattle breeding practices, and we can use the technology in this so that we can increase the livestock quality and we can reduce this strays, and we can also focus on more sustainable farming practices, because some breeds of cattle will be very helpful for agriculture, for example ploughing. So we have to encourage those breeds. And this one here is we can also ensure that farmer will be having access to the superior breeds so that they can enhance their economic viability, and even they will leave this cattle to the next extent, and actually they will be not having any option of abandonment of this cattle. And this one here is they will be also having the good accessibility to the services of artificial insemination services, and even we can focus on proper livestock management, and as well as we can promote inclusive agriculture practices, so that by this method we can support small land holding farmers so that they will be getting proper income. And this one is what happens if there is stray cattle. So tell me this. So what happens? What will be the impact of the stray cattle? Okay, they consume lots of plastics. Next. Huh? Okay, accidents. Yes, very good. And even I saw some viral shots. So these cattle, they will be coming and attacking the people also. Next, accidents. Next. Next. Water. Okay, water pollution. Okay. So even whatever the waste that we are getting from this cattle, can we use it for gas production like gobar gas? No, we can't. Next. Yes, very good point. Biomagnification comes because of consuming of meat and milk products of that cattle. Very good. Next. Biomagnification, bioaccumulation. Next. Come on. Come on, come on. You can do it. Okay, next one here is what will be the impact of this stray population? Yes, government can provide subsidies so that we can increase this goshalas so that we can take care of this cattle. Yeah. Okay, misusing of subsidies. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so government can properly manage the subsidies things. And actually, we will be having some road safety hazards and public health concerns, and even we need to focus on this community welfare. Okay, so in this way, government can focus on using of technology for agriculture challenges, and we can also focus on modernizing of our agriculture sector. Okay, so that is the thing that you have to see. So in agriculture, if you are not having the proper goods, we can't go for proper agriculture because especially in our India, we are having this problem of small scale farmers. Okay, small scale means the people they are having even less than 1 hectare of land. So in that less than 1 hectare, so they can't go for using of technology. So they have to use traditional methods like this cattle itself. Okay, so it will be affecting their livelihood. And say this article, Supreme Court changes resolution on Chief Justice appointment. So what are the keywords here? Chief Justice of whom? High Court or Supreme Court? Chief Justice of High Court. Next, it is asking about Supreme Court. Supreme Court is facing some challenges regarding appointment of Chief Justice of High Court. So, do you know the methodology that we are using for appointment of judges of High Court and Supreme Court? Yes, we are using one system called as collegium system. Okay. So apart from this collegium system, we are having this NJAC Act, National Judicial Appointment Commission, and we added this to our constitution through 99th Constitutional Amendment Act. But Supreme Court struck down this NJAC Act, and now also we are using this collegium system for the appointment of judges of high courts and as well as Supreme Court. So now actually this article is saying that Supreme Court changed 11 recommendations for appointments of this Chief Justice of 4 High Courts, but there is some problem regarding this recommendation, so we didn't accept those recommendations. So because of this, this is a news. So here you have to know about this, what is this collegium system? So collegium system, it is a system we can use for appointment and as well as transfer of judges who are belonging to the Supreme Court and as well as High Court. So actually, so it is not at all present in our constitution, but because of judgments in our Supreme Court, that led to evolution of this collegium system. So here there are 4 cases: first judge case, second judge case, third judge case, and fourth judge case. So in this third judge case, so we struck down this NJAC and we came back to this collegium system, and that will be taught by your polity lecturer in your Supreme Court chapter. So actually here the collegium is not only present for Supreme Court, but even for this High Court judgments also we are using that collegium. Okay, so here you have to know about who are the members of this collegium, and here you have to know about what are the challenges which are faced by this collegium. So on this collegium you can get a question. And here you have to know about the constitutional provisions regarding the appointment of judges of Supreme Court and High Court. So regarding Supreme Court, we have Article 124, which says about this judges of Supreme Court can be appointed by whom? President. after the consultation of High Courts and as well as Supreme Court, as the President may deem necessary. If President will say like if it is necessary, he can consult High Court and as well as Supreme Court for the appointment of those persons. And this one is we have Article 217 which talks about the High Court judges appointment by the President itself. But whenever President is doing appointment for this High Courts, he has to consult CJI along with that governor of that state. So this is very important. And what are the criticism which is faced by this collegium system is, first one is there is lack of transparency. So actually here this collegium system, they will be not disclosing about the names. They are going to appoint them as the judges of Supreme Court or High Court. So there is lack of transparency. And even one more problem here is this collegium system is very slow. Already there are many vacancies in many High Courts and Supreme Court, but even though the process is very slow. So this is also one important problem, because as of August 2022, there were still 3 vacancies in Supreme Court and more than 380 vacancies in High Court. They had not yet been filled by this collegium system. And next one here is there is also some charges of nepotism, okay, and as well as favoritism in this collegium system, because there is no proper accountability and transparency here. And next one here is, so there is no system of checks and balances in this collegium system. So because of this, so here judicial appointment process which is going on a very vague process. There is no proper accountability. And next one here is there is lack of representation of women in this collegium system. So because of this, we can say that there is discrimination based on gender, which is violating fundamental rights of women. And even if you're talking about this transfer of judges, currently the Supreme Court and the government do not disclose any reason regarding why the transfer of judges is happening. So because of this, it is also one important challenge where there is no proper judicial independence. Okay. So see these 2 articles. No progress in resolution of Demchok and Dipsang friction points in 2 years. So what is this article talking about? What is this article talking about? So where are these places located, Demchok and Dipsang? Where are these places located? So these 2 names are the places which are present in India. No idea? So recently BRICS summit, yeah, we discussed that. So what are the points we discussed? We are going to have meeting on sidelines of this BRICS with whom? China. For what? China for what? What is the issue between China and India? Border issue. Okay. So we are having issue between China and India at line of actual control. So in this place, patrolling point 15, Demchok Plain and Dipsang Valley. So these are the places, they are still under control of China. Actually, those places are belonging to India. So as you all know that more than 30 rounds of talks had been happened between India and China regarding stalemate. But still now, nothing had happened regarding these places. They are under even control of China now, even after 2 years as well. Okay. So here this article is saying that there is no progress in resolution of issue between India and China along LAC even after 2 years. So here you have to know about line of actual control, and you have to see friction points between India and China. So in which areas we are having issues between India and China, you have to know that. And say this article, Ukraine-Gaza war figure in India-US discussions before Modi's visit for Quad Summit. So we are also going to have even Quad Summit soon. So what is this Quad? Quadrilateral dialogue. So which are the countries part of it? India, Japan, Australia and US. Okay, so tell me about this Ukraine and Gaza war. Why these are going to be the matters of discussion in this Quad? So recently India started negotiation with Ukraine regarding peace agreement. So whether US like this? No, but in this Quad, obviously US is a part of it. And whatever the countries which are part of this Quad, they are anti-China and even they are anti-Russia as well. Okay, so because of this, yes, they are the important points of discussions in this Quad summit. So we have to wait and see what will be the impact after this Quad summit, how it is going to impact India-US relations especially. Okay, and see this article, demographic advantage, India's economy sweet spot. So what is this article is talking about? Can you guess anything? Demographic dividend. What is this demographic dividend? Yes, working age people. So can you tell me the age exactly? 15 to 64 years. Very good. So population belong between this 15 to 64 years, they are asset to our country or not asset? They are assets. Why? Why they are asset? Okay, they are earning, they are working group. Okay, how they will be asset to our country? How, in which ways? In which ways? So what will happen if any country is having more demographic dividend? Okay, tell me about advantages of demographic dividend. The demographic dividend is nothing but working age population who are between 15 to 64 years. So what are the advantages of these people? Come on, advantages of you. I'm asking about you, right? Tell me. Okay, you will contribute to economic growth, but how, Monica? Paying taxes? Oh, next. Okay, more employment. Okay, GDP increases next. Next. Come on, tell me. So, what is advantage of you to society? What is advantage of you? You are living on this great country, India. You are proud, right? So, tell me how you can contribute to economic growth of our country. I am asking you only. Come on, tell me. What is the importance of you to the country? Yes, innovation. Very good. Next, innovation. Come on, innovation. What will you do for country? Will you die for country? Come on, come on. Okay, working at borders. So, for security of our country, next, take down the question, write down the advantage of demographic dividend. If I ask like this, you won't give the answer, I know. So, tell me about what the advantages of demographic dividend. Okay, tell me what are the challenges we are facing in demographic dividend now? Yes, very good. Unemployment, next. Poverty, next. Huh? Okay, lack of proper opportunities, next. Hmm? Okay, health issues, next. Yes, very good. Lack of skills and training, next. Okay, improper implementation of technology, next. Very good. Outdated education. So I want to use one term here. So focus on this demographic disaster. So what is this demographic disaster? If you are not providing proper skill and training to this demographic dividend, whether it will be useful for a country, so then that situation leads to demographic disaster. So actually we are now enjoying this demographic dividend, but our government need to ensure that this demographic dividend should not enter into this phase of demographic disaster. So now tell me what are the measures can be taken by government to prevent this demographic disaster in our country? What are the measures can be taken? Okay, Skill India, Make in India. Next. So for this only I didn't started news in the morning. Next. Okay, investments. Next. Proper education, proper skilling, proper training. Next. Okay, research and development, we have to spend more in this health and as well as education, research and development. Next. Okay, okay. So for that we can. Okay, we can give that. Give that. I can give that. What happened? We can't do anything with that sound. Let it be. Next. Yes, you can bring the projects for development for sure. Okay, women empowerment. Okay, we can do that. Next. So this is your article. So this article is saying that yes, you are enjoying demographic dividend, but we have to ensure that it should not enter into this phase of demographic disaster. For that, what measures we can take? So now I hope you understood the article, right? I'll say now. So India's demographic advantage is now the median age. So if you take the average age of Indians is 28 and 60 percentage of our population is workforce, they are working. So because of this, obviously they will contribute to our economic growth. And you have to note down this data somewhere. So the median age of Indians is 28 and we are having 63 percentage of population who are in the working age. Okay, but the problem here is there is very low women labor force participation and many a times there is reliance on service sector rather than competitive of manufacturing sector in our country. Okay, so here we need to come with some reforms in our labor laws and as well as skilling initiatives so that we can improve working women's or working age population in manufacturing sector and even we can address the skill shortages. And you know that there is increasing of artificial intelligence in this economy, so it may cause some loss of employment. So we have to mitigate this by upskilling our human potential. Okay, let us see the points here. So actually in our country, youthful population is very high and we are having a lots of potential of demographic dividend and we can promote higher labor force participation so that it will be advantage for our economy. And we need to come with the reforms in labor laws, and even we can focus on the growth of labor intensive sectors like MSME. So for that MSME, whenever government is providing some support, obviously that will rise this MSME sector so that we can increase job creation. And this one is skilling should be our priority. So we have to decrease what are the skill gap that is present between these rural areas and as well as urban areas, so that we can improve workforce capabilities and especially we can promote public private partnerships and even we can focus on effective training programs as well. And even because of rise of artificial intelligence, it is giving both opportunities and as well as challenges. So we need to have a proper balance between this automation and as well as preserving of jobs. And this one is especially we need to focus on now manufacturing sectors. So these manufacturing sectors, they are labor intensive sectors. They need more labor compared to the service or agriculture. So we have to focus on them so that we can create more jobs and we can reduce unemployment problem in our country. And even we can divert whatever the more amount of labor in agriculture sector towards manufacturing sector. But how? So agriculture is prominent in the rural areas. So in the rural areas we can set up some cottage industries so that we can divert this more labor force in agriculture towards this manufacturing sector and we can promote rural economy as well. And we have to focus on continuous learning like skilling, training, and according to what are the demands of the industry. For example, if we are setting any industry regarding food processing in any rural area, so whatever the skill that is required, so the people need to be get trained for that so that we can acquire the skilled people so that we will be not causing any loss to that industry as well. Okay, so all these things that you have to remember. And see this article, the continuing distribution of the death penalty. What is the keyword? Death penalty. What is this death penalty? Is also called as capital punishment or guilt to death. Okay. So in Telugu, we'll be calling it as Uri Shiksha. Okay. So why this death penalty is in news? Yes, recently West Bengal came up with one law. In that law, it is given death penalty for rapist. Okay, so what is that bill is called as? Aparajita Women and Child West Bengal Criminal Laws Amendment Bill of 2024, which had been passed. So now tell me whether this death penalty is correct or not. Can we give this death penalty? No? Yes? Yes? No? Yes. Okay. Why yes? Why yes? So if they're doing crime, they should be punished. Okay. If no, what is your reason why no? Punishment is not only the thing so that we can bring the change in society. Then what can you do? How you'll bring this change? At least it will create. Okay. So it had been happened in earlier case also. Is that stop the coming cases, Manoj? In Nirbhaya case they gave. Uh, yes, it took lot of time because it is the inbuilt problem in our judiciary. Then, what happened in Disha case? In Disha case, the judgment was very, very fast. Actually, it was like encounter. It was not even went to the court. Then it is pre-planned. Uh, okay. Then, so what are the laws we have? So we are implementing strictly only, but even though we are not stopping this kind of cases. So actually, it is one of the ethical dilemma we are having, whether we can promote this death penalty or whether we have to stop this. So actually, you will be getting this kind of questions in your interview to know your perspective, like whether you'll be following law and order or whether you will be making your own laws. Okay, so you have to get your own perspective regarding this kind of ethical dilemmas. So when we deal with our ethics, I will be giving you the list of the ethical dilemmas where you have to come up with your own perspective. So whenever you are developing your own perspective, you have to give some evidence, like you can take some case study in the foreign countries how they are using. But here if you see this death penalty in many countries, they had been abolished this, but why can't in India? So this is the question which had been raised here. So if you want to change the laws, it will take a lot of time. Okay, yes, of course, yeah. So here this article is saying that creating a safer environment for women and children is a complex issue. So punishment alone cannot change the society. So if you want to change this kind of crimes, first we have to change the attitude of the that so and so person. So how can you change the attitude? First of all, we have to understand the mindset of people, why they're doing this kind of crimes. So when we know exactly the reason behind what he is thinking at that time, so what provoked him to do that, then we can bring at least some change in society. Okay, so that is the thing we have to see here. So this is the thing which is mainly said, because whenever you are giving punishment, it cannot alone change the society. But even if you see the misleading advertisements, so different institutes, coaching institutes, they got fined. So whenever they are getting fined, they will be having around 1 lakh or 2 lakh or 3 lakh or 5 lakh or more, not more than 20 lakh, but their turnover will be in some crores. So in that way, you have to understand what exactly can be done so that we can decrease that crimes in the future. Okay. It will come daily. So here the death penalty in India persists, which highlighted by recent Aprajita Women, Children, Child Bill, and that is introducing again capital punishment for rape following a high-profile case. So now actually the question which is asked in this article here is majority of the different developed countries, they went for abolition of this death penalty. Why India remains as a retentionist nation? Okay, so why there is increasing of even death penalty cases in our country? So this is the question which mainly asked here. So what are the key points that you have to see is, so if you see about the introduction of death penalty for rape, it signifies a shift towards harsher punishments. So we want to increase punishments to the more extent, so that here we can decrease the violence against women. Okay, so that is the thing. So we need to come up with some societal reforms, and we have to change the societal attitudes. And even government is trying to bring some preventive strategies so that we can control these events in the future. And this one is, if you see the data regarding the violence, so statistics says that, so there are very high incidents of rapes is happening in our country, especially against this Dalit and as well as Adivasi women. So this data which says that yes, government need to take some steps to control this, so that we can improve some protective measures for the women who are belonging to this particular vulnerable societies. And next one here is why India is having this retentionist position of death penalty here is, yes, if you see comparatively, when you're comparing India's police system with other police system in other countries like US or Japan, so whether we are that much fast, whether we have that technology, no. So because of this lack in this technology, yes, we have to follow this retentionist policy of death penalty in our country. And as you all know that even our country has signed or signatory to this Human Rights Commission. So even though here we are having this capitalist punishment as a deterrent, that is in only the rarer of rarest cases, government or Supreme Court will be giving this judgment. It is not like it should give in each and every judgment, so that we are following or we are committed to the human rights. And next one is, if you see the experience of death row inmates often include severe physiological and as well as physical issues, they had been exaggerated by systemic flaws. So actually how we are going for this capital punishment, so just we will be hanged to death. That means whenever they'll tie one rope to the neck, and our cervical bones will be broken, so that you will be dying because of insuffocation. So actually it includes both physical and as well as physiological issues. But in other countries where they are having capital punishment, just they will give injection to the nerves, so that they will be not causing that much physical and physiological issues. So here we can transfer to that. So this is also one question on the debate, which if you see some English news channels, the news which is going on here in debate is why we are following this hang to death policy in this capital punishment. We can shift to other policies which will be not causing much physiological and as well as physical harm to the inmates. Clear? And next one here is, yes, whenever the incident is happening, so people will be very angry at that time. For example, till 1 month they will be remembering that. So if they see, if you say about the same case after 2 or 3 years, whether the same emotions will be there for the people? No, right? So this is also one important question. Like, so emotions are changing on time. So why we have to impose this capital punishment for the rapist? So this is also one question that is there now. So if you see this violence, the normalization of violence against women, which reflects deeper societal issues and calls for capital punishment that can distract from addressing the root cause of gender-based violence. So whenever we are giving this capital punishment for this rapist, so this article and author, he is saying that he is saying that yes, whenever we are giving this punishment, it will be distracting the root problem. We are not addressing the root cause of this gender-based violence. So is that the solution when we give this capital punishment to the rapist? No. So it is only the one form of gender-based violence which we are seeing in our society. So apart from this rape, there are many other gender-based violence. So how we are addressing this in our present everyday life? So this is also one important question. And if you see here, we are having this Justice Verma committee recommendations. It is saying that no, we can't give the death penalty or capital punishment for this rapist. So why can't we follow that Justice Verma committee recommendations? So these are the things that you have to see. Okay. And see other articles. Climate crisis agenda remains urgent. So what is this climate crisis is about? So this article is talking about especially SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So when we have to achieve them, what is the year? 2030. So can we achieve them by 2030? So what is the present year? 2024, and it's also going very fast. Okay, so tell me, what are the steps that we can take to achieve the sustainable development goals by 2030? Okay, environment pollution, how you can decrease? Okay, electric vehicles, and we have recently e-drive policy. Next. Okay, non-renewable to renewable. So what is example? Okay, solar energy. Next. Okay, illegal construction should be demolished. That is bulldozer justice. Next. So on this bulldozer justice, Supreme Court gave a stay. Yeah, today only. Yeah, that's what. Next. Come on, what can you do? Don't say like stop keeping exams. Okay, plastic pollution. Okay. Promoting cotton and as well as jute. Okay. Okay, so we can divert use of plastics to some extent. Next. Okay, decreasing of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, but how can you ensure food security? So you need food, right, at the end of the day? Okay. Okay, we can use hybrid variety seeds. Next. So think about this, like how we can reduce this global warming. Especially my question is how we can decrease this global warming by 1.5 to 2 degrees centigrade as per Paris Climate Deal Agreement. So can we achieve that? So to achieve that target, what should be done? Okay. Mm. Mm. Okay, so we can implement the policies. Okay, so think on this topic, and today I will be giving you question on this climate crisis agenda itself. Okay, so after this class, read this article, and I will be giving you the questions after once this class is done. Okay, so these were the important articles that appeared in our today's Hindi newspaper. So by this I'm concluding. Thank you so much for watching, and please do like this class, and please do share this class to your friends and subscribe to Rathod's Science Academy.